Hello, candle lovers! Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Greg, and this is all about candles. Happy Sunday, everyone. I hope you've had a fantastic weekend. Every Sunday, I like to do the weekly wax wrap-up. This is a breakdown of all the candles that I finished burning this week, how they smelled, how they performed, all of that good stuff. I've got a feeling that this is going to be a doozy of a weekly wax wrap-up this week. I got lots of candles to get through. At the end of the video, we're going to have to talk about SAS at Bath & Body Works. We're going to have to talk about the latest episode of Sex in the City and Just Like That. And we're going to have to talk about my new favorite baseball team. So grab yourselves a snack, make yourselves at home. Just so you know, I do divide my videos up into chapters, so if certain things interest you more than others, you can click around down below to get to the parts that you're most interested in. I have got myself a cold brew coffee that I made myself. It takes forever, but it's worth it. Little bit of French vanilla syrup, little bit of milk, and I am good to go. I do have full-length reviews out for most of these candles, and so if you'd like to get the whole story, I will link to the full-length reviews below. Let's just get started and kick things off with Palo, Santo, and Sage. This is one of my favorite fragrances right now from Bath & Body Works, and I thought that this neutrals packaging is just perfect for it. I love this shade of blue. I love the little details on the label there, like those textured lines. I just think that this is gorgeous. I love this fragrance. The scent notes on it are clary sage, Palo Santo, and ambered woods. Oh, it's so nice. And I do have to say that when I first smelled this candle, it really wasn't what I expected, because that Palo Santo note from Bath & Body Works is so deep and like robust and rich and smoky. And this has some of that in there, but it's not nearly as like lowly pitched a candle as Palo Santo regular is. This is actually quite bright and sort of medium to high in range. The sage note in here really does give it a little bit of a bright, sort of herbaceous vibe to it. I saw Sarita from Coffee and Candles refer to this fragrance one time as a little bit brassy, and I think that that is the perfect word for it. You do pick up on a little bit of that rich, smoky Palo Santo note, but it's balanced out so nicely with that bright, like, clary sage. It is a little bit brassy. It's almost got sort of that metallic sheen in the fragrance, but it's really nice. It's super rich. It smells really authentic to me. Doesn't smell synthetic at all. I love Palo Santo and sage. Oh, so good. And this candle also performed really well. I burned it all the way down until there was nothing left. I was carrying this candle all over the place with me on work trips. I must have moved it after the last burn there, and it got a little bit messy, which is what you're seeing there. But for the most part, it was a really nice burn from top to bottom. I'd say that the strength and throw on this is usually around a 6.5 or a 7, depending on the type of space that you're in. In a more medium-sized room, it was definitely getting up to like a 7 for me, so no real complaints about performance. Yeah, I love Palo Santo and sage. This will be a repurchase for me and a recommendation for you as well if you're into fragrances like that. Fragrances like that are definitely not for everybody, so smell it in the store first before you pick it up. I also finished up a sweet tea and lemonade from Bath & Body Works, and this is last year's version, although it did come out again this year, and I believe is still on the floor. I think that this packaging was really interesting. I've never quite seen a lid like this before from Bath & Body Works, as well as this label in the center here. It's like a felt. And it's got that sort of old, like, Sunrise Bath & Body Works logo on it. It just feels very old school and nostalgic, and a real departure from the packaging that Bath & Body Works has been doing a lot lately. I particularly enjoy just the singular sort of label. It's not like a see-through sort of sticker. It's just like this felt circular label. Sweet tea and lemonade, perfect packaging. Not my favorite candle in the world. The scent notes on it are brewed sweet tea, fresh squeezed lemons, and sugar crystals. And in my full-length review of this candle, I mentioned that like up here in Canada, we always have sweetened iced tea at like 90% of the restaurants you go to, you're gonna get a real sweet iced tea. And that down in the States, you all are really used to unsweetened, like freshly brewed iced tea. Well, all of my followers from the southern states were really quick to point out to me that in the southern states, you do a nice sweet tea. And I learned a lot about the regionality of iced tea in the comment section for that video. This candle was a little bit much for me. Something that I've kind of discovered about myself is that as much as I love a tea fragrance, I love the smell of tea, I love drinking tea, I don't think I love tea fragrances in home fragrance. Something about it just comes off as, I don't know, a little bit odd and performative to me when like your whole place like smells like tea. You know what I mean? And this candle was very, very sweet and highly pitched. It's like a really sweet iced tea note on top and a fairly strong, bright lemon note in the middle. And there's not much else to this candle. It's very up there in the register and it's so sweet. It doesn't smell, it's not bad, and I can appreciate that this is probably a fragrance that a lot of people really, really like. It is just not one for me, folks. Just a little bit too much. However, I would recommend this candle if you like the fragrance because it performed extremely well. I burned it all the way down until I could see the wick nickels. I really, really just stuck it out on this one, you guys. Very little discoloration. It was a real fast, like hard burner. As you can see, there is a little bit of dirtiness and sootiness that happened here. This candle was really, really going for it. Had to limit your burn times on here. I did check out the newer version of this candle in the stores that looks like this. It also has the thick ropey wicks on it and white wax. So I'm guessing this new version is going to perform pretty much exactly the same as this one did. I'd say that the strength and throw on this was a very solid 7, and that's in my more open space. And I kept it in my more open space. I think I even burned it outside for a little bit of time. Total 7 in my open area. I can imagine that if I were to have put this in like the bathroom or the bedroom, we'd be getting up to like a 7.5 or an 8 for strength and throw. So this candle was not shy. Very, very strong for sure. Not going to be a repurchase for me, but if this is a fragrance that you like, I have no reason not to recommend the candle because I thought it did really well. I also finished up this weird candle from this oddball collection that came out at like the end of summer last year. This is Blue Icelandic Waters, but what the fragrance actually is it's called Deep Blue Ocean. And this was a weird collection of repackages because there was one that was like Bali Rainforest, but it was yuzu and pineapple, and it said yuzu and white pineapple on the bottom of the label. And then there was Sedona Sandstone, which was just rosewood and patchouli, which is a fragrance I actually really like. And then this was a repackaged Blue Icelandic Waters, but right on the bottom there, you can see that this is actually Deep Blue Sea, which is a fragrance that I actually remember and I like quite a bit, but this candle was a bit of a mess. The scent notes on it are blue citrus waves, crisp island woods, and fresh cypress. And I do like this fragrance. I mean, I pick up on a tremendous amount of bergamot, which is what I think they mean when they say blue citrus waters. But there's also a nice woodsiness to this fragrance as well. And it's not the kind of the way that like Surf Shop from last summer was. This is very strictly like bergamot and woods. It does smell quite cologne-y, but not necessarily in a bad way. I like the fragrance like kind of on its own. And I will say that this candle was strong, but it was a messy, messy, messy disaster. Look at this, you guys. Look at this. And a lot of the time when, look at this. A lot of the time when I have a candle that's gotten this ugly, it's because, and I will let you guys know, it's because I abused it and maybe I let it burn for like 4 or 5 hours. Maybe maybe I let it burn for 6, 7, or 8 hours. Maybe I didn't trim the wicks. Like usually when a candle ends up looking like this, it's because you did something wrong. That did not happen with this candle. First half of it burned like a dream. I noticed right off the bat that the flames were a-flamin'. You know, it was big flames, like all systems go, like very, very powerful burning candle. And the first half of it was good strength and throw. I'd say that it was like a 6.5 or a 7 for strength and throw. And that's in like my more open space for sure. Once I got down to the halfway mark though, I noticed that the wax was starting to get very discolored. And then once I was down to about a third of it left, I burned it, and after it having burned for maybe an hour and a half, I looked at the wax pool and it was black, like black. I thought to myself, oh, good Lord Jesus, it's a fire. I called it a day. I mean, this candle was a hot mess. I mean, deep blue sea. Deep blue sea is what this fragrance was originally called. Huh. I remember that candle very, very vaguely. Must have been a while ago. Anyways, whatever, who cares? It's not on the floor right now, and I think that that's a good thing. All right, I also finished up this Lavender Bergamot from Bath & Body Works, and this is the sort of revamped new White Barn core line. I imagine that these candles are going to be on the shelves for a really long time. I think that this is a considerable step up. Those old White Barn core candles were starting to look extremely dated and old-fashioned. I wonder if they're going to be 75%ing off those old White Barn core candles at some point during SAS. I kind of hope that they do because I'm sick of looking at them when I go into the store, to be honest with you. And this fragrance has been out before in the White Barn core line, but it was a while ago and I really have very little recollection of it, so I wanted to give this candle a try. The scent notes are bright lavender, bold bergamot zest, and warm tonka bean. And I thought this was a really lovely fragrance and a really lovely candle. It had the thin core wicks on it. It performed really quite well. It's nicely balanced. The bergamot note in here isn't a super like bright and zesty bergamot. It's almost more like a rind, like the oils, like the rind of like a citrus fruit. And the lavender note in here also isn't like super bright and sharp either. It's quite soft. And then there is something in the base. I love tonka, and so I have to say I don't think I would necessarily pick out tonka bean from just smelling it without the scent notes, but in the base there is sort of like a warm, just a little bit of like a warm, smooth, like woodsiness perhaps. I thought it was a really, really lovely fragrance. I really like this. I think I might actually repurchase this candle. Yeah, really, really lovely. And it burned reasonably well also. At the very end there, it did get a little bit dirty. Much like that Blue Icelandic Waters candle, this candle was just a roaring and just a flaming and living its best life and doing the darn thing. You had to really limit your burn times on this. I'd say 2 hours was like the maximum. After 2 hours, those deep, even wax pools were deepening and the flames were roaring, and you absolutely had to call it a day and let it cool and trim those wicks down to little nubbins before you relit it. It did get a little bit dirty at the end there. I'd say that the strength and throw on this wasn't fantastic. A little bit lost in my more open space. I'd say it was like a 5.5. But when I put it in the bedroom, and I did think this was a really nice fragrance for the bedroom, I'd say that in there it got up to like a 6 or a 6.5. So it definitely had a presence in there. But I do think that it was meant to be a little bit of a softer fragrance anyways. And so it worked for me for whatever whatever reason. I think I would repurchase this and recommend it to you as long as you're not expecting a powerhouse. And like I said, stay on top of those burn times, and the wick trimmings did get just a little bit dirty at the end there, but that was right at the very end, and I kind of let it go off, to finish things up. I suspect that's where part of that discoloration comes from. And that's all I've got for Bath & Body Works candles. So we're going to move on to Goose Creek candles that I finished this week. And I just want to point out that this weekly wax wrap up is kind of marking an interesting shift in my candle burning, in the sense that I actually have more Goose Creek candles to share with you this week than I have Bath & Body Works candles. And based off of what is happening at Bath & Body Works right now, in terms of there basically being no good summer candles coming out, this is what I think the rest of the summer is going to look like. I'm going to have more Goose Creek candles to share with you than I am Bath & Body Works candles, because right now I am buying probably 5 times more Goose Creek candles than I'm buying candles from Bath & Body Works. I'm still going to keep the Bath & Body Works candles up at the top of the show, because I know that that is what most people are the most interested in. Everybody has access to a Bath & Body Works store, but we've got a lot of Goose Creek candles here to get through, and Goose Creek has been doing the darn thing when it comes to summertime, releasing really fabulous summer collections like every single month. Moody tropical candles, sweet summer gourmand candles, beachy candle collections. I mean, they're really doing it. And I'm just gonna be burning more Goose Creek this summer than I am Bath & Body Works. So let's get right into it. I finished up this Stormfront candle, and I am obsessed with it. I absolutely love this candle. I love the packaging. A lot of people were criticizing the labels on this sort of rainy day collection. By the way, Goose Creek releasing an entire collection of rainy day candles. Yes! Yes, Queen! Give it to me, Goose Creek. And I thought that this jar looked fabulous. They look better in person than they look online, and I love the way that this wraparound kind of looks like a window pane, with raindrops on it. People were very critical of these labels for looking AI generated, but I honestly didn't really mind it that much. And when this candle was lit, it was like flickering and whatnot, and it really looked like there was like a storm a-brewing inside the candle, which is very appropriate because this candle really smells like a storm's a-brewing. Batten down the hatches. The scent notes on it are stormy breeze, wind-blown linen, wild lavender, and meadow fruits. And now, while there is a stormy breeze scent note in here, I think it's really interesting that there isn't like an aquatic or watery scent note listed, and it does have a considerable amount of lavender in here. And you do get a little bit of a linen note as well. And I don't think I necessarily pick up that much on the meadow fruits, but there is sort of maybe a little bit of like a sweetness. Maybe it's like a very sort of sweet and discreet, mild kind of like stone fruit vibe. But for the most part, I feel like this is sort of a lavender and linen fragrance, and I can't quite put my finger on exactly what it is that Goose Creek does to this candle, but it smells so authentic. You know that smell when you're outside and there is a storm coming, and it's almost like the trees and the grass and the air, the fragrance of everything is just sort of amplified a little bit. That's exactly what this candle smells like. Oh, I love it. And it performed like a dream too. It did get a little bit dirty at the end there, as most Goose Creek candles do, but I'd say that the first like 75% of it were really nice, clean, even burns. Right at the end there, I let it go off for a pretty long period of time, and so we did end up with a little bit of dirtiness, but nothing terrible. And the strength and throw on this candle was fantastic. I'd say that in my more open space, this was easily a 7 for strength strength and throw. And then in a smaller space, I actually had this on the road with me a little bit. And in like a medium-sized hotel room, it was easily getting up to an 8 for strength and throw. It smelled very authentic. It really, really, really is sort of like a mood-setting candle. You know, a storm is a brewing, and I love the smell. Being outside, either before, during, or after a rainstorm, I love the way that the earth smells. And that, I think this candle does a fantastic job at sort of capturing that atmospheric vibe. You know what I mean? Absolutely loved it. All right, and I also finished up a sundae from Goose Creek, and this was part of the Goose Creek luxury collection. They called it a luxury collection, and I thought that these candles really looked great when they were on the shelves. They all have like these sort of metallic jars, and it's not like a wraparound label, it's actually like a colored glass jar. And while I think that these candles looked great, sort of cold, like sitting on their own, like they looked great in the candle closet, I didn't think that they looked quite as great when they were burning. There was a little bit of a weird kind of inconsistency in the translucency of these jars, which I think really actually kind of cheapened the look a little bit when the candles were burning. And on top of that, particularly on this candle, this sundae candle, I don't know if you can quite see it, but the lip of the top of the jar sort of curves inward. And because of that, the lid doesn't fit properly. I mean, you have to really like wrestle with it to get the lid to stay on there properly. And even then, it looks a little bit like crooked and odd. You see what I mean? And I realize I'm being very nitpicky here. However, if you're gonna call it a luxury collection, and these candles did cost more than candles from regular Goose Creek collections, these were a higher price point. If you're gonna call it a luxury candle collection and charge a higher price point, I think that it's completely within our rights to be a little bit extra picky about the execution of these candles, because even though they smelled absolutely fantastic, there were a lot of little weird issues with the actual execution of the packaging on them, in my opinion. But anyways, this was a wonderful fragrance. The scent notes on it are bronzed coconut, white tuberose, and gold pineapple. And so this is very much in the vein of candles from Bath & Body Works like Bronzed Sunset, Sunset Glow, those fragrances that are very popular right now, kind of like being at the beach, like sunscreeny, kind of fuzzy, fluffy, neroli, fruity, coconutty, sunscreeny vibes. I really, really liked this candle though. I think it's a fantastic fragrance. There's a gold pineapple note listed here, but this definitely wasn't like a pineapple forward candle. All I really get in terms of that is a little bit of a sort of vague citrus fruit in the top note, but the heart of this fragrance, the majority of it is a really, really lovely, warm, sort of glowing coconut note. And then in the base, there is a considerable amount of floral happening as well. And it's really nice. It's really lovely. I enjoyed this fragrance tremendously, and this candle performed like a dream as well. I burned it all the way down until there was like nothing left. I could see the wick nickels. Not a lot of discoloration. This looks like a pretty darn clean burn for a Goose Creek candle. Just a little bit of murkiness happening at the wax at the very end there, but the strength and throw on this was fantastic. I'd say like a 7 in my more open space, and easily like a 7.5, almost getting up to an 8 in like a smaller to a medium sized space. This candle wasn't shy at all. I really, really enjoyed burning it, but Goose Creek needs to do a better job at their whole lid situation. Like I've noticed, you know, not just with this collection, but with a lot of Goose Creek candles, there are issues with the lids and the plastic gaskets being a little bit out of place, or the rims of the tops of the jars being kind of uneven. I'd love to see Goose Creek Creek just tighten up those issues just a little bit, especially if they're going to be charging extra and calling it a luxury collection. Okay, I also finished up a Buttercream Blooms from Goose Creek. This was a very late in the season burn for me. Once their sort of Easter and spring candles went deeply discounted, I decided to bite the bullet and get some of these. A lot of you all were recommending this candle to me. I appreciate it a lot. Not my favorite, but it wasn't terrible. It was just a little bit too sweet and sugary for me. The scent notes on here are berry glaze, sweet buttercream, and candied petals. And this candle reminds me so much of rose petal icing from Goose Creek. I can't say for sure. I don't think that they're total repackages, but they're very similar. They're at least like sister fragrances for sure. I liked it a little bit. I appreciated the fact that the candle burned well and was really nice and strong, but it's got this sort of icing sugar note in there that is very, very highly pitched. And as with fragrances, I'm also kind of the same way about icing in real life. I don't love that really like grainy, sugary, granular icing. I much prefer like a nice buttercream icing, and that wasn't this, which is unfortunate because it's called buttercream sprinkles. No. This is much more like that kind of cheap grocery store cake icing that you get sometimes. It's very sweet and very highly pitched, and it's a very sweet, nondescript berry note, and also a very, very vague, sweet floral note, and all of these things add up to just an extremely sweet, kind of generic smelling fruity floral gourmand. And I love fruity floral gourmand candles, but this one just loses me a little bit with the sugariness, with the saccharine of it all. It's a bit much for me. Wouldn't be a repurchase for me. But if you like this fragrance, I don't really have a reason to not recommend the candle. I burned it all the way down until I could see the wick nickels. There was like nothing left there. Pretty clean burn for a Goose Creek candle. Just a little bit of discoloration at the end there. I'd say that the strength and throw on this was a very solid 7, and that's in my more open space. I never moved it to the bedroom or the bathroom, but I can imagine that in one of those spaces it would be like a 7.5 or an 8 for strength and throw. So no complaints about that, just not really the fragrance for me. I'm much preferring that vanilla cloud candle right now. That vanilla cloud candle is fabulous, and that also came highly recommended from all of you folks. You're gonna be seeing a review about it up here pretty soon. Moving on here, I also finished up Vacation Vanilla from Goose Creek. And surprise, surprise, everybody, I absolutely loved this candle. What a lovely, like, summery vanilla fragrance. I think that this packaging is gorgeous as well. It really sort of suits the kind of like getaway vacation summer vibe of this collection with a white lid on there. The scent notes on Vacation Vanilla are tiara petals, sheer sands, and vanilla orchid. Oh, I loved this fragrance, you guys. I say this all the time, but Goose Creek does their vanilla fragrances so well. And they have so many vanilla candles that actually do give you great strength and throw. And this was definitely one of them. It's basically a floral vanilla, except that the gourmand vanilla note in here is very like vanilla gourmand vibes. You know what I mean? It's not like a super like fresh, bright vanilla bean. This is a very distinctive, like rich vanilla fragrance with sort of the afterthought of like a nice sort of light floral note. It's really, really lovely. I feel like a lot of vanilla candles that we get these days are like a fruity floral first and then vanilla second, but this is a very vanilla forward candle. There's a little bit of a light floral in the top, but the heart of this fragrance is a nice, rich, little bit gourmandy vanilla note. And then in the base, there's also a little bit of like a smooth white floral perhaps down there. It's really good. It's really nicely balanced, but it's still like a very unmistakably vanilla fragrance. Really, really, I think this is one of the best vanilla floral fragrances that I've burned that I can remember. I mean, it kicks Vanilla Cloud from BBW. It kicks that candle's butt for sure. Oh, it's a lovely, lovely vanilla fragrance. Candle did get a little bit dirty on me. I did burn it all the way down to the wick nickels, but you can see the sort of soot mark lines around the side of the jar from where the wax was, you know, getting discolored and sort of hardening and marking the jar there. The first 2/3 of it burned beautifully. The last third of it, the wax did get a little bit murky, a little bit weird. I think I burned the last third of this outside for quite a while, and so I might have let it burn for a little bit longer than I should have, which does account for a little bit of this dirtiness here. But the actual wax itself didn't get that terrible, you know? Like, it was a reasonably good, clean burn for a Goose Creek candle. At least the first 2/3 of it were really, really lovely. Right at the end there, sometimes you have some issues. I also finished up a Cotton Vanilla Breeze candle from Goose Creek. And I really, really love this fragrance a lot. This is the second time that I've burned this candle. I haven't done a full-length review on this candle yet because I'm kind of holding off until I get a different version of it. This version was part of their odor eliminating collection, and this was actually considerably different than the first Cotton Vanilla Breeze that I burned. The first Cotton Vanilla Breeze that I burned came in packaging that looked like this, and it did really, really well. Nice burn, really good strength and throw. This odor eliminating version didn't do as well. And so I'm a little bit confused as to what's going on, because Goose Creek puts out, like, they have an aromatherapy line, they have their regular candles, they have this odor eliminating line, and for example, I've burned their Lavender Vanilla in like all three of those different formats, and they all seemed exactly the same to me. Like, I could not detect any difference whatsoever. And I said something to that effect on my channel at one point, and Kent from the Candle channel commented and told me that the odor eliminating fragrances are actually formulated differently than their regular counterpoints are. And up until he had said that comment, that just hadn't been my experience with them. They really seemed like they were formulated the same, but I mean, whatever, what do I know? Okay, fast forward to this Cotton Vanilla Breeze. This is the odor eliminating version, and it definitely burned differently from the regular version. But oddly enough, the difference was that this version was lighter. Like, it was less noticeable. There was something very odd about this fragrance, almost like it was a 100% soy wax candle. Something about it just wasn't really projecting properly, and I'm not entirely sure what's going on here, but I do love the fragrance, and I love the packaging. The scent notes on it are sunlit cotton, soft cashmere, spring breeze, and vanilla clouds. And I will say that this is actually a little bit of an odd fragrance, but for me, it's odd in a good way. And what's odd about it is that, much like that Vacation Vanilla candle, the vanilla note in this candle is very gourmandy. You know, usually if you're gonna have like a cotton vanilla fragrance, it's gonna be more of that sort of like bright, sort of fresh vanilla bean note, but this is actually kind of like a gourmandy, almost like bakery vanilla note, but then with like the cashmere and the linen and the sort of spring breeze vibe on top of it. And so it makes for kind of an odd fragrance, but I really, really like it. You know, almost kind of like vanilla cupcakes and and laundry. You know, kind of peculiar, but being a vanilla lover, you know, I'm obviously pretty biased here because I love vanilla fragrances. For some reason, I still think that this works really well. And I think it works really well because it's actually balanced quite nicely. There's kind of like a cottony cashmere vibe, like on top. And then the heart of the fragrance is that sort of like rich, almost gourmandy vanilla note. And then in the base, there's just maybe, and this isn't listed here, but in the base I pick up on just a touch of a floral, like maybe just an itty bitty bit of like a lavender. Really interesting fragrance, really neat. I wouldn't recommend getting this odor eliminating version of the candle because it didn't perform as well for me as the regular version of this candle did. It was a really nice clean burn though. Look at, for a Goose Creek candle, this is a beautifully clean burn all the way from top to bottom. No sooting, very little discoloration. I burned it all the way down until I could see the wick nickels. The strength and throw on this, it was still not bad. I'd say it was like a 6 or a 6.5 in my more open space. In the bedroom, I'd say it still got up to a 7, but I feel like the original version of this candle that I burned was like a 7.5 or an 8 for strength and throw, depending on the size space that it was in. So for whatever reason, this odor eliminating version just wasn't as strong as the last version I burned was. That being said, it was still acceptable strength and throw. You know, like a 6.5 or a 7. We're lucky if we're getting that from the majority of Bath & Body Works candles out there these days. So even though I'm not wholeheartedly recommending the odor eliminating version of Cotton Vanilla Breeze, I would recommend this fragrance. I would recommend this candle. But if you can, I would suggest getting it in the other packaging, another format, whatever. This odor eliminating line, I don't quite get it. I don't get why this candle would be lighter than the original if it's supposed to be eliminating odors. Maybe there's something in the formula that's supposed to sort of like suck up odors from around it. Like I'm not a scientist, you guys. I don't know how all that works. All I know is that that is going to be a repurchase for me eventually when it comes out in different packaging and it's not odor eliminating. Okay, one last candle here. I also finished up a Yankee candle. This was Sakura Cherry Blossom, and this jar just looks atrocious now, and there's a bit of a story behind that. Actually, I almost didn't include this candle in the weekly wax wrap up because I'm so embarrassed of what I did to it, but I figure that it can at least maybe serve as a cautionary tale as to what not to do. So I released a full-length review of this candle earlier this week, and I had burned it down to about this point when I recorded that review. So it did get to the point where the whole candle had liquefied. I could see the wick nickels, you know, and it was fine. But then when I got home from my trip on like Friday night, I wanted something to put outside like in the evening just for a little bit of ambiance. I always burn candles outside in like a big like tempered glass hurricane. I wanted something outside for vibes the other night. And so even though I only had like this much left on here, I lit it up, put it outside, and kind of forgot about it, which I very rarely do, and you should never do. I didn't even forget about it so much as I didn't think that things would go so sideways so fast. I mean, this must have happened after about 2 hours. As you can see, what happened was the wicks drifted tremendously and burned the side of the glass jar there. And so the wraparound, I didn't see if it actually caught on fire, but the wraparound started to singe and like peeled off all over the jar here. What a mess. And this is a cautionary tale as to what not to do when you're getting towards the bottom of the candle. I get asked on the channel sometimes, when do you call it a day with a candle, and you really should be calling it a day when you have like half an inch of wax left. Once the entire candle has liquefied, you do risk those wick nickels and wicks traveling to the edge of the jar and burning and then singeing off your wraparound label, and it could catch fire. I mean, it wasn't that close of a call because, like I said, I only burn candles outside in like gigantic tempered glass hurricanes, so it would have been fine. Like, my house wouldn't have burned down even if this had fully caught on fire, but still, like, danger, danger, danger. Anyways, let's talk about Sakura Blossom Festival. I got the scent notes off of the website. There's a lot of them. The top notes are red berries, apple, and pink grapefruit. The middle notes are rose, freesia, and cherry blossom. And the base notes are sandalwood, vanilla, and almond milk. There's quite a few scent notes in here that I don't pick up on. I don't really pick up on the pink grapefruit or the apple, and I'm happy for that. There is a little bit of a sort of generic berry smell on top, and I think it's actual like cherry. You know, like cherry blossoms really do not smell like cherry, but I do think that there is an expectation among some customers that a cherry blossom candle has a little bit of a hint of cherry in it. And I think that a lot of candle companies actually do put a little bit of cherry in these candles just to sort of like meet that kind of like wrong expectation. And so when they say there's red berries in the top of this fragrance, I think that it's actually a little bit of like fruit cherry. But the majority of this fragrance, the heart of it, is a fairly musky cherry blossom and rose floral. I'd actually say it's about equal parts like cherry blossom and rose. And it's really quite musky. Maybe a little bit perfumey, but it's not nearly as perfumey as Japanese Cherry Blossom from Bath and Body Works. That Japanese Cherry Blossom is a candle that I cannot do. It is way too musky and perfumey for me. And I would say that Sakura Blossom Festival is kind of, for me, a more palatable version of that Japanese cherry blossom candle. Still a considerable amount of musk though, and oddly enough, musk isn't listed in these scent notes. I don't really pick up on the freesia, but in the base it says sandalwood, vanilla, and almond milk. I don't pick up on the almond milk, but there is definitely a smooth and creamy woodsiness in the base of this fragrance. And it's quite nice. I think it's reasonably well balanced. I'm not sure if it won me over enough to warrant a repurchase. Maybe in a couple springtimes from now, I might consider repurchasing it. But, you know, it didn't really blow me away. It wasn't fantastic. And the performance was okay. Please disregard how awful this jar looks now. As I just told you, I used and abused this candle in ways that I really should not have. I'd say that the strength and throw got pretty lost in my more open space. Maybe like a 5 or a 5.5. It became a bedroom candle pretty quickly. And I will say that in the bedroom, it was getting up to a 6. In a hurricane medium space, it was getting up to a 6 and almost approaching the point where I would give it a 6.5. Not quite, but almost a 6.5. I would have liked for that candle to have been a solid like 6 in a more open space, 7 in a bedroom. I think that would have been lovely. So just missed the mark a little bit for me in terms of strength and throw. Yeah, Sakura Blossom Festival from Yankee. Whoopsie daisy. Anyways, that's all I've got for us this week in terms of candles, but we absolutely have to talk a little bit about SAS right now. I was creeping on the Bath and Body Works website this morning, posted a little bit of a short about it. They have officially put all of the sort of like old backstock up on the website. Lots of leaves, lots of spiced apple toddy, lots of Mary Cookie, There were considerably more Christmas candles showing up on the website than I thought there would be. And there's always going to be like 4 versions of leaves when semi-annual sale rolls around, especially considering that the spiced apple toddy is just a repackage of leaves. The candle selection isn't blowing me away. Like with what's, online on the website now, I don't think I'm going to even be purchasing any of those fall or winter candles if they do go to 75% off. I think it's nuts that we have 3 different versions of Merry Cookie, one of them being a new Christmas in July Merry Cookie. There's like a Merry Cookie White Barn Core version. There's the Merry Cookie that came out with like this sort of silver metallic label. And there's a brand new Merry Cookie, which is one of our Christmas in July candles. I've said it before, I'm gonna say it again. I am so not impressed with this Christmas in July situation. In part because of what the candles are, to be honest with you. I think it's like 'Tis the Season, Winter Candy Apple, Merry Cookie, just candles that we get more than enough of when it is actually like Christmas retail season. You know what I mean? And then we've got the 5 candles that are the bought for sale candles, the ones that are here just for SAS, the most boring collection of fragrances I could possibly imagine. Fresh cut lilacs, watermelon lemonade. I think the only candle that I might pick up will be that sugared pretzel. What is it? Sugared pretzel twist or something like that. That might be the only candle that I buy at semi-annual sale. And I'm not even expecting it to be a fragrance that I'm obsessed with. I'm just gonna be kind of nosy and I'm gonna want to try it. So I'm gonna get that sugared pretzel twist candle or whatever it's called. And that might be it for me, guys. I don't want to rain on anybody's parade. I know they're doing a lot of interesting stuff with body care. I know that the Bath & Body Works body care lovers are really excited, and I'm glad that Bath & Body Works is giving you a reason to be excited, but they're not giving me a reason to be excited, and they've got a whole bunch of great bring back scents, right? Chocolate Amber, I'll be very interested to smell. Forever Red Vanilla Rum, I'll be interested to smell. They're bringing Velvet Sugar back, and here's what I don't understand. Why couldn't we get a 3-wick candle for all of those bring back scents? Why couldn't we get a 3-wick candle for Chocolate Amber? Why couldn't we get a 3-wick candle for Forever Red Vanilla Rum? If they had released a 3-wick candle for each of those bring back scents, I would have bought every single one of them. But we're not getting that. I might buy Amber and Chocolate body wash. I might buy an Amber and Chocolate body wash, folks. And that's it. I've also seen what the hand soaps are. I was hoping, maybe there's going to be some interesting hand soaps and I'll get into my SAS groove with some fun hand soap purchases. But 5 of them are the Christmas scents. Merry Cookie, 'Tis the Season, Winter Candy Apple, something else. And then the other hand soaps that we're seeing that are coming as bought for sale are boring. Soaps like Pineapple Mango, Watermelon Lemonade, Lakeside Life. There's a Coconut Verbena and Lime. I might want to try that Coconut Verbena and Lime hand soap. But all the rest of them, total snooze fest. So the one thing that I'll be really shopping for and keeping my eye out for are cheap single wick candles. I really want to try the Blush Amber single wick, and I really want to get my hands on the Vanilla Suede single wick. And, last semi-annual sale, all of my beloved, black and gray single wicks went on sale for $4 or $5, and I bought so many of them. So at this point, the best case scenario for me to be enjoying my semi-annual sale is that I get a whole bunch of these single wicks for $4 or $5. That's the hope that I'm clinging on to at this point, friends. Oh, I really don't know much about wallflowers. I don't follow that, so I don't know what's going on. In case you guys haven't noticed, I'm not like, even though I feature a ton of Bath & Body Works candles on this channel, this isn't like a Bath & Body Works news channel. You know, because there's lots of places that you can go to get your Bath & Body Works news, because as far as Bath & Body Works is right now in terms of candles, there really is no news. I might only end up getting a sugared pretzel twist and a vanilla suede single wick. It's depressing, you guys. It's kind of depressing, but I'm probably going to be in the store tomorrow at some point. I've got a bunch of errands to run. I'm going to go into the store tomorrow at some point and snoop around. And what my real mission is going to be is to talk to one of my sales associates that knows me, one of my sales associates that I know and love, and get them to kind of spill the tea in terms of like timelines and like 75% off possibilities. It's really going to be more of a research trip, I think. I will honestly be surprised if I buy something tomorrow when I go into the store. I will honestly be so surprised if I actually end up picking anything up. I'll be surprised. Anyways, enough complaining about semi-annual sale. What are your plans for tonight, folks? What are you up to? What do you do with your Sunday nights? Usually on Sunday nights, I really like to lay low, hang out with a boyfriend, and we catch up on our TV shows. And tonight, we've got a date with Sex and the City, and just like that, the reboot of the classic fabulous show, Sex and the City. I did a little bit of a recap of this show last episode and got quite the response. Not only were people commenting about it, but I received about a dozen emails. I received about a dozen emails from my girlies, you know, telling me all about their history with the show, how much they love it, how disappointed that they are in this new weird like Twilight Zone reboot of the show. And I'm gonna tell you this, let's just lean into how bad it is. Let's lean into the craziness. Let's lean into the fact that these characters are just barely shadows of the characters that we knew and we loved from the late 90s and the early 2000s. Let's talk about last week's episode of Sex and the City, because let me tell you, it was another doozy. We kick things off with one of our new least favorite characters, Lizette. Her name is not Elizabeth. Her name is not Liz. Her name is Lizette. And she has eyebrows and she designs jewelry. And she became friends with Carrie because she bought Carrie's old apartment off of her. Now, this Lizette, as a jewelry designer, she must be, her Etsy shop must be doing really, really, really well to be able to afford to buy Carrie's old apartment. Let me tell you that. And so they're sitting at the bar having Cosmos or whatever, and Lizette has made a necklace or a bracelet for Carrie. Has a present for Carrie. Carrie opens it up. 4231. That's the number of my old apartment. Lizette is like, I wanted to make you a piece of jewelry that will mean that you're always close to your old apartment that you don't have anymore, but now it represents a new chapter in my life. Lizette is Carrie's like millennial friend. Or she's not a millennial, she's like Gen Z. She's probably in like her mid to late 20s. Just how different life is these days for 20-year-olds than it is for 50-something-year-olds. Just absolutely fascinating. And so Lizette doesn't like being part of Gen Z because everything happens on her phone. She has to date on her phone. She has to socialize on her phone. Everything happens on her phone and she's just sick of it. And she throws her phone behind her in the middle of the bar. Just like tosses her phone away. It doesn't even go to get it. Just keeps on talking. Just keeps on talking to Carrie about the necklace that she made for her with her old apartment house numbers. Carrie thinks it's the most beautiful necklace she's ever seen before in her life. It absolutely looks like a necklace that was made from materials purchased from Michael's. But you know what? Carrie loves a necklace. She loves her Carrie necklace. Now she's got a necklace with her old apartment numbers on it. So eventually, some really, really handsome dude brings Lizette's phone back to her and is like, I just need to know who I'm gonna sue for throwing their phone at me, ladies. Can I buy you another round of drinks? Oh, God. So Carrie goes home. And the next day, she's got this house now. Carrie's got a whole house, and she's got a backyard. She's got about a 10 by 10 foot sort of green space in her backyard. And so she's sitting in the backyard with her MacBook out, talking to a squirrel that's in the bushes. And you know what is funny? That squirrel actually reminded me. One of my favorite moments in the original series is when Aiden takes Carrie to his cabin, and his cabin is out in the middle of the woods. It's in, what was it? Suffern, New York. The place was called Suffern. Suffern, New York. Aiden drags Carrie out to his cabin, and Carrie is like in the kitchen. The windows are open. Carrie's like in the kitchen making something, and this cute little squirrel comes and perches itself on the windowsill, and Carrie looks over at it. Ah! 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 Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! And it's just a squirrel sitting in the windowsill, and it runs off, and Aiden comes running. What's wrong? What's wrong? Carrie's like, oh, a squirrel! That is a squirrel! So stupid. So anyways, Carrie's sitting in the backyard, working on her next book, on her MacBook, talking to the squirrel. The squirrel jumps into the bushes. And a whole bunch of CGI, a whole bunch of poorly CGI'd rats emerge from the bush and just start swarming the backyard. And once again, Carrie, she runs up the stairs inside to her apartment, slams the door. Oh my God, I have rats. There's rats out there. Oh my God. She eventually manages to calm herself down. But her cat named Shoe, and I missed this. I missed the part where Carrie got a cat. Carrie has a cat now, and she's named him Shoe. She's standing in her kitchen, and the cute little kitty, actually, it's not that cute. This kitty looks like it's been through some things. Anyway, so this cat approaches Carrie's leg and starts to nuzzle up to her, and Carrie, oh my God, Shoe, oh, it's just you, oh, Shoe, my cute little kitty, aw. Meanwhile, Aiden comes into the apartment and walks into the kitchen. Hi, Carrie. Oh my God. So basically, like, Carrie's main character trait is that everything scares the out of her. Like, in the last episode, she couldn't figure out how to make her alarm system works. Then beep, 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 beep. Oh my God. Carrie's main character trait now is that she's jumpy and scared of everything. But anyways, Aiden shows up, calms Carrie down. They have sex. I can't figure out what's happening in this relationship. Apparently, Aiden can't be with Carrie anymore because Aiden's son is an alcoholic, and that's just taking up so much of his time and his mental bandwidth that he can't even be receiving texts from Carrie because he's too busy. It's so confusing and quite frankly makes absolutely no sense at all. And then we've got poor Miranda, everybody's favorite late in life lesbian. Miranda is now working for a nonprofit organization. She's like a lawyer for a nonprofit organization, which I think could actually be like a really interesting storyline. You know, Miranda is now like fighting the good fight, using her lawyer skills to like help a good organization and do good work. I think there could be some really interesting storylines there. But apparently all that happens at this nonprofit is that everybody eats their salad bowls and watch TV on their cell phones. So Miranda oversees her two office buddies watching this show on their cell phone, and it's called Bisexual Bingo. And it looks like it's kind of like a Love Island situation, except all the girls are bisexual. And at first Miranda's like, oh, why are you girls wasting your time watching this trash? And then she watches it for a second and she's like, who's that? Oh. So now Miranda is obsessed obsessed with trashy reality TV and bisexual bingo. And so she's at home like double screening. She's like double screening bisexual bingo, and she's got C-SPAN playing on the big TV in the background, which is actually like kind of how I watch this show, to be honest with you. Miranda becomes obsessed with bisexual bingo, but Carrie's not watching it, Charlotte's not watching it, and so when they go out for lunch, Miranda doesn't have anybody to talk about the show with except for the waitress. They order some tableside guacamole, so the waitress comes around with the guacamole cart and is mixing up the avocados and stuff and starts talking to Miranda about bisexual bingo, and Miranda thinks they've really hit it off. Miranda's like, oh my gosh, now you understand me. At one point, Miranda actually says, I've finally discovered the joy of hate watching. I'm like, now I'm really feeling effed up about this show, because now I'm thinking to myself, is this like a meta commentary from the writers of this show? Do they know how bad this show is, and they know that it's only palatable in a context of like hate watching it. They know. They're commenting on it right in the show. It's the weirdest, most meta thing. And so Miranda's become a hate watcher of bisexual bingo. The only person that she has to talk to about it is the tableside guacamole waitress. So the next time that the girls go out for lunch, Miranda wants to go to the same restaurant, order the guacamole so that she can talk about the show to the waitress, and she works up the courage to ask her out. And the guacamole waitress is like, yeah, sorry, I'm kind of married to a man and I have 4 kids. Like, just because I watch The Walking Dead doesn't mean I'm a zombie. Burn! Just like shuts Miranda down. Miranda shooted her shot and it didn't go her way. So now Miranda is depressed because the waitress is straight, and the last person that she was with was Rosie O'Donnell, who was a virgin lesbian nun from Winnipeg, and so she's gone back to Winnipeg to be all nunny about it, and so now Miranda's all alone, and whatever, who cares. Then we've got Seema. And Seema is my favorite terrible new character. Seema is a cougar who likes to chain smoke cigarettes, and she hates men. God, there's no men left in this city whatsoever. So then Sherry O'Terry shows up as a matchmaker. Sherry O'Terry's a matchmaker, and she's gonna find Seema, the man of her dreams. And she basically tells Seema, she's like, look, if you want to find a man, you have to be not such a terrible witch with a bee. And Seema's like, okay, I'll try. Then Seema goes home that night and she looks at her big empty bed. And there's sad piano music playing in the background. And Seema looks at her big empty bed and is like, oh wow, I'm alone. And so she gets set up on a date by her matchmaker, goes on a date with this really hot daddy, actually. And at first, she's wearing a floral dress. She's trying to be nice. She's trying to dumb herself down so that a man's gonna like her. And so she manages to get through most of the lunch without being a total bee. But then right at the end of it, she slips up, completely explodes. And the dude says he's going to the washroom and then ditches her, stands her up on the first date. Sherry O'Terry shows up and is just like, I don't know, you might be single forever. And Seema's just like, whatever, I'd rather be myself than have to dumb myself down for any of these rich, successful, fabulous businessmen that you're trying to set me up with. It makes no sense. This character makes no sense. But I love the fact that she's a massive bee and she chain smokes and has no idea what's going on. And then there's Charlotte and this new character. Charlotte and this new character, I don't pay much attention to them. Because Charlotte and this new person, their whole storyline is all about their kids all the time. It's always all about their kids, and I actually literally can't bring myself to pay attention to it. I actually can't bring myself to care. And so whenever these two are on the screen, that's usually when I go to the bathroom and mix myself another drink. But what can I say? That was last week's episode of And Just Like That, and I'm very excited to watch episode 3 tonight and find out what the heck is going on with these people. You know, it does bring me joy. It really does bring me joy. It is so bad, it's good. You want to know what else brings me joy these days? Baseball. Now, y'all know I am not a huge sports enthusiast, but I do believe that you don't have to be athletic to be an athletic supporter. You know, I don't mind a hockey game once in a while. Every once in a while, my straight buddy Owen will drag me out to a hockey game, and I'll hoot and holler for the Calgary Flames. I actually understand how hockey works because it's not very complicated. You get one goal in the net, you get 1 point. It's easy to watch, easy to keep track of. Go Flames, go! Go Flames, go. So I do hockey once in a while. Never been a big baseball fan until I was flipping through my Instagram reels one night and I came across my favorite baseball team. Yes, folks, I now have a favorite baseball team, and they're called the Savannah Bananas. Oh, good Lord. The Savannah Bananas are a baseball team. And here's what they do. They play baseball, they sing, they dance, they lip sync to pop music, they do backflips all across the baseball field, they smack each other on the butt, they wear these really great fitted yellow uniforms that are just cinched perfectly in all the right places. They are my new favorite baseball team. I did a big old deep dive and watched about 100 reels of these Savannah Bananas doing their darn thing. And let me tell you, if they need a water boy, if they need any help in the locker room, I'm here to volunteer. I am here to volunteer. Now, I can't figure out, I don't know if they actually do play baseball. Like, I don't think that they're like playing against the Red Sox, you know, to win the big prized cup. You know, I don't think that when it's like the bottom of the 10th period that everything just pauses so that the Savannah Bananas can lip sync to Benson Boone for 5 minutes. Like, I don't think that they're in like the big huge leagues. You know what I mean? Are they kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters? Are they kind of like the Harlem Globe? That's a basketball team. And they don't really like play in the league. They're more known for like putting on a fun show. Everybody buys tickets to the stadium to sort of watch them like sing and dance and goof around. I think that's what the Savannah Bananas do. I know I've got a lot of people that watch me in the South. Please, I need to know everything. If you're in the South, if you've been to the Savannah Bananas, if you've been lucky enough to see them live, please let me know in the comments below what your experience has been. I am in love with every single one of them. This is how you do baseball. This is what I want to see from the sports industry. Go Savannah Bananas. I'm about to become your #1 fan. Yes, I am. I'm a baseball fan, baby. I am a baseball fan. And if I'm ever able to travel back to the United States, top priority is going to be getting some tickets to a Savannah Banana game. That's what I gotta do. That's what I gotta do. I'm absolutely in love. I'm obsessed. I'm watching their reels every day. Can't get enough of the Savannah Bananas. Please, 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 if you know anything more about them, let me know in the comments below. Do they really play baseball? Who makes their uniforms? Do they need a towel boy in the locker room? These are the things that I need to know. Anyways, that's all I've got for you folks today. Oh, I knew that this video was gonna run long. Thank you so much for bearing with me, everybody. I love you for watching. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts. And just like that, Savannah Bananas, semi-annual sale. all of these gosh darn candles that I finished burning this week. Don't be shy. I love to hear from you. Weigh in the comments below. Feel free to email me, allabootcandles@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram at allabootcandles. If you could hit me up with a like, a comment, and subscribe to my channel, that would mean the world to me. I've got a full week of content ahead for you guys. Lots of candle reviews and good stuff like that coming up, so stay tuned. And until next time, my dear, gorgeous, and beautiful candle-loving friends, let's burn some candles and bitch about it. Thanks, folks. Bye for now.